Welcome to the Fifth Trooper Podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Fifth Trooper Podcast. My name is Jay Shalansky. Joining me this week is Evan Bulris.
Hey, how's it going?
And the man, the myth, the Corgi? War Corgi.
It's great to be back, Jay. Thanks.
Yeah, so this is pretty exciting. We've done a few interviews and special reports with you, but this episode you're going to be on for the whole episode, so this is exciting.
Yeah, I've never been on with Evan before either, so it's triply exciting for me. I just went straight over double, straight to triple.
So who knows what could happen? This is going to be wild. So not a whole bunch going on in Legion world. I think we saw today on the Facebook page, there's some Idens that are out in the wild here in the U.S. I don't understand what's happening. I guess maybe some of the distributors are breaking street date or doing whatever they want, I guess, at this point.
I think the term for it is snafu.
Yeah.
Snafu.
Yeah, situation normal, fill in the rest of the blanks.
Have you guys seen any of the stuff out your way?
No, but I don't see anybody anymore except for Chris, who
Right.
comes over for games.
Yeah, we did have Evan over for a little bit, but then I just don't trust him. I don't know where he's
It's
been.
fair.
So
These hands get everywhere. It's fine.
but yeah, so what's going on with you? Like how has this been for your channel, the whole quarantine and shelter in place stuff?
It's been strange. I was talking to my buddy Chris, and I was expecting to get a lot more views since people are home in quarantine. But I think one of the things that's going on right now is people aren't playing Legion, so they're not thinking about Legion as much, right?
Yeah.
If you go and you get to play some Legion and it's not quite enough for you, that one game of Legion you get a week, then maybe you go watch a YouTube battle report or two from some of the content creators out there. But if you're not having the ability to do that, I think some people have just kind of shelved it for a little bit. So the interaction's still been good, the reception's been good, but we haven't seen the dramatic increase in viewership that I kind of thought might be there. But that's okay because we're still doing really well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We're similar. I think everything's nominal, and this, we were seeing an upward trend, and we're still seeing that similar trend, but there wasn't a huge spike due to this. And I was of the same mind where I was like, oh, yeah, everybody's gonna be home, so they're totally like we're gonna get way more listens and views, and no, it's been about the same. If anything, like I've been wondering a lot too. I think, and you have a wife and I have a wife, and sometimes listening to podcasts or watching these videos isn't the best family time. And so I wonder if most people were like listening or watching either at work or listening on their way to and from work. So maybe that's why the numbers are kind of just similar.
Yeah, I get the evil eye whenever I'm walking around the house and I have my earbuds in listening to you guys. And like I was doing with the Notorious Scoundrels podcast today. And I think it's a carryover from, he's no longer a teenage son, but my son, when he was a teenager, would do the same thing and just like ignore his mother with the earbuds in. So I think there's some residuals there that hurt me.
Yeah. Or it's my favorite is when you do that and you're like listening to something, and then like Rachel will just start talking to me as if I don't have headphones in, and then she'll be like, "You're not listening to me," and I'm like, No, I've had headphones in this whole time.
The best is when they've been quiet for like the previous 5 hours, haven't said a word to you.
Yeah.
As soon as you put them in and you start a podcast, they have like a million things to say. You see what you're missing here, Evan? You see what you're missing?
Yeah.
It sounds real terrible, guys.
Evan got in a real dark fight with his husky the other day over some peanut butter, so they know.
Look, Evan, I didn't know that you had a husky. Did you see the episode where we became the War Husky YouTube channel for one?
Dude, I did. Mine is he's getting a little chunky. But no, I'm actually he's a good boy. But yeah, we've been getting along quite well because I'm working from home, so it's whatever I eat, he gets some of it. So he's known. He's Chipotle bag now. He knows what's up. Gets ready at my desk for those chips.
I'll put the pounds on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, it's weird. I was gonna talk to this with Evan on this episode, but since you're on, this will be perfect too. You can kind of talk to this as well. I figure a lot of our listeners as well have been experiencing this, but we had our first quarantine fight recently, which was about absolutely nothing. Like we couldn't like after it was all said and done, and we were done arguing and fighting. We were like, wait, what are we fighting about? And it was like nothing, just for being around each other. That was the whole fight. And so it's been real interesting.
That sounds much more like my first marriage than my current marriage, I will tell you.
It's weird. Like Evan will say like we've never like Rachel and I don't fight. Like it's just we're usually on the same page. We have the same sense of humor, like all that stuff. But then the other day we were just mad. Like we're both just mad, and neither of us knew why. And then and it kind of was just blew over, and we were like, oh, we had our first quarantine fight. Perfect.
I did get a text in Germany once while I was at work, and my wife says, "When you come home, I want to have a fight." So that's never a good position to be in as a husband
Oh.
because, like, you'll come in too strong, and
Yeah.
like not that kind of fight. I wasn't, wasn't trying to hurt feelings here.
That's right. Right. You come
I
in all loaded up. You're like, let me remember the 10 things she did that I hated.
I only know one way to fight, and that is to go straight for the heart.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so that's been interesting. Let's see. What have you know what? Let's ask you this. Out of all the stuff that's been announced so far, and that we probably won't see till next year, but what are you most excited to get on the table?
Oh,
Not just for your channel, but for you personally.
Sure. So I'm having the most fun playing with my clones right now. So it's got to be ARC Troopers. I am
Mhm.
really looking forward to getting those ARC Troopers on the board.
They are
Yeah, I
very
think
strong. They are very good. I've been
yeah.
messing around with them in TTS a lot. Holy cow! Even though what's nice is our unit that you can take a strike team and it's good, and you can take a full group and it's good, but it's not like the current like sniper teams that we have where you just never take the commandos. It's just always strike team or bust. So it's actually a unit where when you get your whole box, you feel like you can do both, right? It's not just like, oh, strike team, these other models just get to sit in the shelf forever. So they're really cool that way.
You, sir, don't watch my channel often enough because if you did, I run the full Rebel Commando units all the time. Matter of fact, I'm crazy enough to run the full Imperial Scout units
Yeah.
some of the times. But
Yeah,
I get
You're
your
a
drift
brave man.
Do you remember, Evan? Do you remember when we first started the podcast and we were going out to Buffalo and playing the Cook Boys a lot? Chris Cook was playing full strike teams for a while. Do you remember that?
A little bit. That
They
was
were super scary.
yeah. Now I feel like there's just other things that do it better for points. Even like, man,
Sure.
I played the full strike teams when it started. Just having them get wiped out in 2 shots felt bad. So I just stopped. But then again, I only did that when I started playing. So my opinion may vary
Mm.
about like people actually getting more reps in with it than I did.
Yeah, now you know how to use things like cover with their low profile. They can
Yeah.
be pretty good. They're not as tanky as Pathfinders, but they're okay.
Yeah. So besides the ARC Troopers, is there anything else you're looking forward to getting your hands on?
No, I gotta tell you, Iden Versio really scares me. I think she is going to be a beast on the table, and she'll probably be a lot of fun to play with. But when I'm lined up against her, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, we've talked about it a few times on our channel and we've talked about it amongst our friends, but I think once this, the quarantine stuff is all over, I think this is going to be a completely different game with all these units when they all hit and vital assets. It's going to be
Vital
Oh yeah.
awesome.
assets is a
Yeah.
game changer, man. It is a game changer.
Yeah. And I know I saw, was it what was it, your last video or the video before you guys did vital assets? I don't remember off the top of my head.
So after you guys spoiled it, which was a
Yeah.
great thing that you did on YouTube, what we did is we printed out our own cards, and our last 2 games and our next game are all going to use vital assets. And it just changes the way the game is played in ways I did not fully understand until I tried out those missions myself.
What has been okay, let me ask you this. What's been your favorite mission and what's been your least favorite mission?
So Bombing Run has been my favorite mission. It's the one that's kind of like Breakthrough, but it's a lot different in that you just have to get there once. It doesn't have to be at the end of the game and drop that bomb and blow it up. My least favorite was probably Hostage Exchange, and even that was a ton of fun.
I like Hostage Exchange because it makes you rethink taking that babysitting group of cores, like a 4-man like rebel squad or a 4-man stormtrooper. You may not want to do that because if it's the opponent picks, isn't it? Maybe I'm reading that card wrong.
No, you get to pick, and then your opponent places them and does their
That's
move
it.
with them.
Okay, yeah. So that's cool. Like maybe I really just want the game to go back to cores again. So maybe that'll be like a good shift for it.
Yeah, and there's going to be some cores that are really good at it, just like there's some units that are really good at Bombing Run.
Yeah. We did play Bombing Run on stream. We goofed that up pretty good. Turns out we can't read sometimes on the Fifth Trooper Network, and at one point I think when in the stream Jay had like blown up my stuff like in my deployment zone almost, and he could have just popped them, but we didn't really read that. So yeah, it was we goofed pretty good, but it was. You're right though. It makes it so maybe if you make a dive to drop it like early on just to score a point, then you can maybe play defensive after. It's an interesting objective.
Yeah, and the way you have to kind of layer them into your opponent's zone or within range 1 of his zone, that means that you can't just fly 3 units of speeder bikes up there in turn 1 and drop them all off because they're just going to pick them up.
Yeah.
So there is some counterplay there, but there are some units that definitely make it easier to get those bombs in. And then the it's cool that it's an actual bomb, so you're doing 3 red dice worth of damage to everyone within range 1.
No, that's really fun. It's cool. Have you tried the bombing cart one yet?
Yeah, we've played 2 games with that.
Okay.
I'm not very good at it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's really dependent on kind of what deployment zones that you're getting.
Okay.
It gets much more interesting depending on the deployment zones that you've got, right?
Okay.
What's the new one that kind of looks like a pyramid, hemmed in, pinned in?
Oh yeah.
That was the first time I played with it, and it was really difficult because my opponent had the pyramid and I had the
Oh,
2
gotcha.
sides.
Yeah.
And that meant he could put his right in the middle, and I had to
Nice.
kind of offset, and he was able to choose, a harder route for me to take over to his.
Yeah.
But it's interesting in that you can push it forward, but you can never push it back. Like, if you push it towards me, I can't push it back towards you. So it takes a new way to think about the game, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, Bombing Run and Rollout, right? Like at LVO, I was playing double heavy list, and those look really nice for that list. And I thought after LVO that I had maybe a bit like was leaving that list forever, but then just like the other night, I was putting some list stuff together, and I was like, oh man, that tank ATST list with like Bombing Run and Rollout, and oh my god, it's gonna be so good.
Yeah, I just played a game on Monday with Chris. We didn't record it, but I was playing clones and he was playing droids, and I had a saber tank. And it's pretty easy to get that point with the saber tank, just marching across the board and drop that in there.
Yeah. So yeah,
Saber causes a lot
yeah.
of issues. Yeah. Last time I played in real life, it was a newer guy, and I was playing my worlds list, and he just dove on Dooku. Tank went in, 2-shot Dooku, and then my list kind of fell apart because it was like turn 2 that happened. And then he's like, so he got me, like he beat me. He's like, wow, your worlds list seems kind of weak, and I'm like trying to be cool. I'm like, yeah, man, it kind of happens because he moved the tank up, and then I just threw all of my army into it. Couldn't roll a crit to save my life, and when I did get enough damage to break it, R2 rolls up and pulls it off, and man, that feels bad. So I'm like, yep. I'm like, tanks are good, man. Just keep playing your tank. You're doing really good. And I'm gonna go and weep a little bit that Dooku got 2-rounded.
I have pretty average dice rolls, and the first time I played with that tank, I blanked on the first 5 red dice that I had to roll, and it ended up dying to Sabine with a dark saber, which was pretty cool.
Okay, yeah.
And then Chris borrows my tank, and Chris does not have average dice rolls. He has phenomenal dice rolls. And I'm playing with droids, and he saved 8 out of the first 10 shots.
Holy
Like
cow.
crits I got through him. I was like, well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Wait, Evan and I have played enough that definitely that curve happens, right? Where
Oh yeah.
Evan and I'll play, and then Evan will just have the worst dice rolls for like 3 or 4 games, and he'll just be like, "Listen, man, I can't do another game."
I need
And
I need to take a break.
yeah, and then like a week later we'll play again, and then it'll just reverse, right? And then I'll just roll nothing. Like we recently, before all this, we played at a prime, and that game we played, Evan, where like
Yeah.
the dice rolls were
Oh
just
yeah.
all over the place, and the terrain was awful to boot, so it was just like it was
Yeah.
the worst of everything in one game, and that was Evan and I played each other round. What was it, round 1 or 2? Evan?
One. That was round one. Yeah.
Round 1, we got matched up, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a knockdown, drag out game," and it was just the worst game I think I had played in months, and it was just because the train was awful, number 1, the dice rolls were awful, number 2, and neither of us could get anything done, and it was just like, all right, man.
Yeah,
It
there
was
was
crazy.
0 line of sight blocking, so it was just we kind of just I played the Hothless I was playing, he played his double heavy, and we just kind of lined up in front of each other. There's nowhere to hide. Everything could see everything, so it's like, well, here we go. And the worst part was too, so I won. I didn't feel good about it. Then you got the bye. So it was only like 3 rounds, and we had to drive an hour and a half to come. So Jay just
Yeah.
like sits down next to the table, and he's like, I guess I'll just judge your game. I'm like, that's cool, man. I get it.
Sounds like that could have gone a lot better.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
that
was yeah.
Well, and I'm, with the old way of how competitive went, getting a buy was miserable. And with MOV now, the new system, it sounds like getting a buy will be at least better than it was before, because it was like basically you get a buy, you're done. Like that's it. It's over.
Yeah, this new system is great because it puts all the agency in the player, right? He
Yes.
has
Yeah.
total control over his destiny for the first time in Star Wars Legion, and I really, really like that.
Yeah, and I mean, how many times, are you like jokingly, you say to one of your opponents, you're like, okay, now I need you, like one that you beat, you're like, I need you to win all the rest of your games now, so that,
Yeah.
so that, like, because it's just out of your hands at that point. And so, but yeah, the new system is pretty great, and I'm excited to see it in the wild, once we all are able to play again.
So I do have a question for you, Jay. Like,
Yeah.
Chris will always roll well against Mare mostly, and he is very empathetic and will feel bad, and he'll
Yeah.
start like actively rooting for me. Do you do that for Evan when you're rolling really well against him? And Evan, if so, how does that make you feel? Because I'm confused how I'm
No.
supposed to feel.
I do
I
that to Jay,
don't.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he
so
does it to me. I do
yeah.
not do it to him. So what happens is if I'm rolling, usually with Evan, when Evan and I am play, what drives Evan nuts is like I don't react at all. So like I'll just
Snowballs.
roll, yeah, and I'll just be like, okay, no matter what happens, like whether it was good or bad for me, and I think that drives Evan to like through the roof. He's like, just react, just anything. Like, why don't you care about this? And then if Evan like gets really hot dice, he'll like sit there and just apologize. And I'm so sorry. Oh man, that's real feels bad. And then if I get a good roll, he'll be like, see, yeah, they're good. I'm glad it came back around. And I'm like, shut up, Evan.
It's
Yeah,
I want it to be a game, right? Like it's
Uh-huh.
because it's a dice game, and after playing any dice game ever made ever, you get those games that are just like things just didn't work out, right? Like I can't tell you how many X-wing games I've played, and it's just nope, no paint, right? Then the game's just one-sided, and it's just over. And Legion, the nice thing is the game goes for so long that you hit that curve, it should swing back either way for you. If you have hot dice in the beginning, they should go cold. If you have cold dice in the beginning, they should go hot. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
get hot dice the whole time, and that's when to me it just kind of like doesn't feel like a game. Like it doesn't feel like I'm my strategy is making me win. It just feels like, dude, this guy can't roll a piece of paint on his defense dice to save his life. So even when they do smart moves, and I'm like, oh, that was a good move. I didn't see that coming. and then they just get turbo punished because I get like a 4 crits off a nobody droid squad, and they rolls like his stormtroopers roll 4 blanks. I'm like, oh god, here she goes. But I just I want the game to feel like if each player had average dice, in my mind that feels a little bit better. But I don't know, it's a dice game, so you get those you get those crazy curves.
Yeah, on Monday we crossed into the it's now hysterical realm.
Yeah.
Like I laughed harder than I've laughed in a long time when Chris is notorious for putting a Courage 1 core unit out on its own, right? And I'll try to put suppression on it, and he normally just rolls off enough suppression where he doesn't break, every time. And so he had 3 suppression on a unit of droids. I'm like, I got him this time.
Yeah.
And he rolled 3 triangles, 3 shields. And I could not do anything except laugh hysterically.
What do you do? Right? Because you should have punished him, right? That should have been well, I can't kill him, but at least I'll make him run. That's suppression is a weapon. Then when he's just yeah, nope, never mind. All your work is worthless. You're like, oh, cool. All right, well, thanks, man.
And when you're diverting a DC-15 for that range 4 shot to put that suppression on him, it feels so bad because you could have done real work against a B2 squad or something like that. But no, it's all for naught.
Yeah,
dude, for real.
Yeah, our buddy Spencer, who we play locally, it seems like every game I have with him is like that, where he'll he played OP Vader, and I think I had 10 suppression on him, and I couldn't get any hits through. He was blocking all the hits, and then he rolls up and he's like, all right, I'm gonna roll for suppression, and loses 9 of it, and I was just like, dude, are you kidding me? And then he one-shots my tank, and then my tank is gone, and I'm just like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, we run into that too, I guess, is our answer to that is and we both kind of do. I think Jay and I are probably pretty good mirrors to you and your buddy Chris on how we handle dice rolls. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I know that earlier we were talking. You said you wanted to come on and kind of talk about your channel and what you guys have been working on and what the future is going to look like. And I don't know if you want to go ahead and cover that now. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, that'd be great. So this Friday we're releasing the 25th episode of Star Wars Legion Battle Reports on my YouTube channel.
Nice.
And whenever you hit a milestone like that, always is a time for reflection, right, on things that you're doing well and things you're not doing so well. And then on top of that, we've become one of the more popular YouTube channels for video battle reports for this game.
Yeah.
With over 4,400 subscribers. I started a Patreon page a few months ago. It's doing really well. And I'm co-hosting the Jedi Hunter podcast. So it seems like my visibility has been raised. And I want to make sure that I'm doing the community justice. If you're going to spend some time to watch one of my battle reports, I want you to be getting a good experience from it. So with that in mind, we're going to make some changes to the channel, and I've been talking a lot about Chris. I've added him to the payroll. He's my first acquisition. You're familiar with acquisitions, right, Jay? You've done a few?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. He's my first talent acquisition. He's been doing his tune-up reports for newer players, teaching them how to play and some basic game things. So now that we're actually making some real money on advertising, things like that, Chris is getting a cut of that. And he's a full partner now in the War Corgi YouTube channel.
That's
awesome. Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of episodes ago, we start showing off our new terrain, which was a gift from one of our local players, Troy. And it's all Imperial terrain, 3D printed stuff that Troy painted. It is beautiful. And so we upped our game there. And that's just making us double down on using fully painted armies, when possible. If something comes out and we're really anxious to get on the table, we'll do our best to get painted. But, there are those situations where it's not possible. But we've been doing a really good job making sure that we're using fully painted armies. And we're going to double down on that.
And that was always, that was something early on. The first time I had you on, I think you lectured all of us on that.
Well, yeah. That was after you appeared on the Paint All the Minis podcast, right? And I didn't lecture you. I was I made an argument, Jay. I made an argument on why you should paint your models.
Everything's a lecture to me. So. I just don't do it with anyone telling me anything. So
I'm using a lot of the the advertisement money I get from YouTube and also my Patreon support, and I'm putting it all into studio armies, right? And
Mhm.
so when someone comes over to play, if they don't have a fully painted force, they can just pick up an army from my studio army, and bam, it's fully painted. So
Yeah.
we're it's important. I think battle reports are such a visual medium that you really need to have those painted minis whenever possible. So we're going to continue to do that.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's not too big of a claim to say like you're more or less the standard for Legion battle reports, right? Like when I watch yours, and then when Jay and I are like doing ours, I'm like, well, how would he do this, right? You've kind of set the precedent for like
Mhm.
quality battle reports with great shots. I even love little like animations and stuff. Like it's really good stuff.
Yeah, I had to do something to distinguish myself from Masters of the Force or MOTF down in Australia because I really just stole uh, their design on how they do YouTube battle reports, and that way I could say I was an individual. That they're the other big kid on the block when it comes to doing these battle reports.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So we did notice, and this is the negative side, we noticed that we were making a lot more rules mistakes lately, and
Mhm.
there's some reasons for that. Like you just talked about, we've got more new units in the game, and there's even more coming out here in the future, right? When the
Yep.
game first came out, there wasn't that many units, so it was pretty easy to know them. And
Mhm.
then that's been complicated even farther with 2 new factions.
Mhm.
And on the channel, we like to show all 4 factions with different units all the time. And so you don't get that muscle memory you talk a lot about, Jay, and knowing exactly what the rules for those units are. So we were starting to make some mistakes. Now on top of that, we got more battlefield condition cards with vital assets coming out. And then lastly, we've been playing this campaign, so all I've been playing is Empire. So when I do go play droids or I play clones, I'm just more prone to making mistakes. And it's been it's not like we'll make some mistakes and I'm fine with that. It just seemed like we were piling up more and more mistakes.
Mm.
So we got some fixes.
Okay.
And we tried this on Monday and it worked really well. And first one's going to be both players are going to run through their army list with each other and highlight the keywords for their units. And, as uh, Brendan would say, the High Marshal, it's on both players to maintain the game state.
Yep.
So on the
Yeah.
channel, we're always very friendly. If somebody's forgetting a keyword or they're playing it wrong, it should trigger in their opponent's mind that they need to do something. So hopefully taking more time at the beginning off camera and running thoroughly through those army lists will help us remind each other when we need to do things.
Mhm.
Then we got to read our command cards and battlefield condition cards and the reminder text more fully and carefully. Like you were saying, Evan, when you've played something with a couple of times, you think you know it, but you
Mhm.
really don't because you haven't played it enough or recently enough that you know it cold. And so we'll start reading the command card and be like, oh, I know what this does. And then totally forget that Obi-Wan's 1 pip, you gain
Gives him nimble.
nimble.
I
Yeah,
always forget about
exactly.
nimble on that. Yeah.
And it's easy stuff. Fantasy Flight Games makes it so easy for us. They put it all on the card, and all you have to do is read the card, and you just gotta be patient enough to read it. So we're gonna do a lot better with that in the future. And then lastly, we know how the rules work like 98% of the time. It's just that we misapply them or we forget them. But when we do have something that's not clear to us, because it's not a situation that comes up very often, like if you have 2 minis that have cover 2, 2 minis have cover 1, and 1 mini out in the open, what kind of cover save do they have? We're going to pause the video. We're going to go to the RRG and we're going to read how it's supposed to work because
Mhm.
everything, or at least the vast, vast majority of things, are covered in that RRG and spelled out very well. So those are the fixes that we have going forward.
I like
No,
it.
man, sounds solid. I mean, geez, I can't tell you how long my whole group has played Suppressive wrong. It wasn't until turn it like a Prime a little while ago because the way we always had read and interpreted Suppressive was if you didn't roll any hits at all, no suppression. But it's right. The card, if you read the rules, it says, even if you blank out, they get one with
Yep.
suppressive. It just adds another. And so, the whole time, like everyone had just assumed it worked like that. And then when you go back and read the card, and you're like, whoa, wow, man, mortars are real good. I guess they just hand
Mhm.
out suppression no matter what. So we had no, man, I get it. Like even people who play all the time, it's easy just to get lost in rules. I mean, look, the RNG went from like 30 pages to what is it now? Like 60 to 80?
Yeah.
There's a lot now.
No, we've never screwed up so bad that we're rolling white dice for stormtrooper saves or anything, but we've had
Yeah,
our fair share of
been there,
mistakes.
Yep, that was
Oh,
my
have you?
first
Have
game
you?
ever. Yeah, I'm like, wow, these stormtroopers kind of suck, huh? White attack and white defense. I don't get it.
Let me ask you this, because
Yeah.
Evan and I run into this a lot. And do you find that I don't know if pressure is a good word, but I'm going to use it. The pressure of recording the battle report and like trying to make sure, like in your mind and in Chris's mind, that the battle report is coming out right for the audience, that sometimes the rules slip a little bit in your mind and you're just like, like, or you're not fully thinking about something and you're like, yeah, that's fine, and then you just move on. I think Evan and I kind of suffer from that once in a while, like we're just like, okay, we got to get this, we're doing this report, we're doing this, stream. We want to make sure like we do a good job so everybody can see everything and understand what's happening, and then like maybe some of the rules kind of go to the wayside.
Yeah, Jane, I think that's a matter of focus for me. If I'm playing at my friendly local game store, right, and my focus is 100% on the game, I tend to make a lot fewer rules mistakes.
Yep.
If I am also concerned about the lighting and I'm concerned about the sound and I'm concerned about the dogs being in the video, and then on top of that, I'm holding a phone trying to keep it steady in
Yeah,
one hand, my
Yeah,
focus goes from 100% to something less than 100%. So that
yeah,
absolutely has a play in it. Now, we always encourage people to go ahead and let us know when we do make rules mistakes because we like to know that so we don't play it wrong next time. And then also, people read the comments of the video and they also learn from that. So we're happy when people point out our rules mistakes. We just want to make less of them. And I do say that if anybody thinks that we make a ton of rules mistakes, that they should try playing a game with a phone in their hand trying to film at the same time because
no,
it
for real.
does
Yeah,
take something out of you.
Well, yeah, and I think too, I think there's this double kind of thing going on where you're trying to help people learn how to play the game, but you're also, I think, you're trying to create an entertainment factor too when you're doing these videos. And sometimes that is top of mind. And then you forget to do something, you like trigger something, or you forget a rules mistake, or you do, there's always something else that gets dropped right when you're trying to spin all these plates.
Yeah, and the worst part about it is I watched a whole bunch of battle reports before I started doing them for other games
Hmm.
and then for Star Wars Legion. When somebody makes a really obvious rules mistake, it takes you out of that battle report for a minute because you
Yep.
start thinking about that rules mistake and how the game would have changed. If they make a ton of rules mistakes, it almost becomes unwatchable because then you're just like watching for more rules mistakes instead of enjoying what's being shown
yeah,
to you.
yeah.
So
Right.
that's why it's so important to get this thing right.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you guys, I think that any content creators that are self-aware and can make adjustments to their product, I think those are the ones that are going to do the best, in whatever, not just Legion, but any type of content creation, right? And I think for anyone at home who is an aspiring content creator and wants to do paint videos or do battle reports or something like that, your biggest asset is going to be being honest with yourself and knowing when you mess up, and then letting your audience know that, hey, I messed up here. I'm gonna fix this though, and here's how I'm gonna fix it. And like we had that segment, we haven't done it in a while just because we haven't played in a while, but we're doing it wrong, and that's why we bring that up, so that people know that, hey, we're not infallible over here either. Just because we create content doesn't mean we're perfect. We just create content because we want to create content.
Yeah, and you want to improve the community and
Yeah.
showing your care and enthusiasm through your creation or your podcast or your videos is the way you do that.
Yep, for sure.
No, agree.
So how's your new podcast been going? I'm gonna be honest, I haven't listened. How's it going?
It's going pretty well. The break has pretty much allowed us to settle in, I will say, right?
Good.
And it's funny because you were talking about you and Rachel just fighting, and then at the end of the fight, you're like, "What did we just fight about?"
Yeah, yeah.
Keith is my co-host, and he's the one who founded the podcast. He and I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like he'll say something, and I'll be like, "Yeah, but this," and we'll talk for like 5 minutes, and then realize we're both saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah. I mean, this has been a real positive, I think, and it reflects positively on the community is the number of content creators and creations out there. You know, you guys have your new podcast, MOTF Luke, and those guys down in Australia, they just started their podcast. Krabick has his new podcast that he started. So I'm really excited about all the additional voices that are going to lend themselves to the community and give the community opportunity to find something somewhere that they like. As long as they're talking about Legion on some level, I'm happy.
I was really impressed because they've cleaned up their language quite a bit down in Australia with the Weird Legion podcast.
Yeah, he actually Luke sent me a note about that and was like, yeah, we were trying really hard. I'm like, it's good. Like you should be.
Like when people ask me for, what's a good channel to watch video battle reports on, I was like, well, if you got kids around, I'd recommend my channel. If there's no kids around, you're okay with some adult language or a lot of adult language, then try out MOTF because they do a really good job too.
Well, and Luke's so we have the one F word rule now on all our media where it's like, and he's the reason. Like you get one, and then we're done. Like that's. And he started that back at Adepticon last year.
That was so funny.
Yeah, no, I was watching that live stream in shock.
Yeah, I mean, I had like, and that he was on our stream the next day as a commentator, and I just remember sitting there going, this isn't gonna work. And I had to have a conversation, and he was so like apologetic and stuff, and Luke is a great dude, and so he was just like, I'm so sorry, I don't even think about it, it just comes out. I go, okay, well, I need professional Luke tomorrow. Like, and you get one F word.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. I'm really happy for you. I'm glad that the channel's doing well, and yeah, because our kind of relationship started way back with Paint All the Minis when I was on his podcast talking about Legion, and then we kind of did a trade-off where you came on to ours and promoted the battle reports, and it's been really good, having you as a friend in the Legion community, and I'm happy to see you doing well and continuing to build your stuff. That's been great.
For me, our friendship was really just a tool to get to Evan, and I'm there now, buddy. So,
hey, all right.
Evan, that is completely true. Off air, every single interview we've done, he's asked, hey, do you think sometime I could be on with Evan? And I was like, no, only like top-notch creators get to be on with the Evan, and he finally made it. So
yeah, it was never that I was ducking you or anything. It's normally when we did interview style. Right now this is perfect, right? We're just kind of hanging out talking. But when he wanted to do interviews, it's always just easier to have one guy interview somebody else, because there's no since we're not in the same room, it's hard to you don't get that like visual cue to see when someone's like done talking or has a thought. And we tried doing multiple, so I'd always just like taken one for the team to be like, nah, man, you do it. I'll just sit out and we'll put it on. So it was never that I didn't ever want to talk to you. It was just normally it was always like an interview style, and I didn't want to like get in the way.
Yeah, and no, I wanted to meet you for a long time. I don't know if you remember, but like a year ago when it came to the Last Chance qualifier, you guys were covering it with the Fifth Trooper live cast, right? And Jay asked me to do a commercial for him, and so I got some of my German buddies together when I was living over there, and we did a commercial. And at the end of it, it was "Go Team Evan," because I've just always been a huge fan.
Oh, hey man, that's I really appreciate that. That's fantastic.
Too bad you didn't see it. It was at the beginning of one of my video battle reports.
Yeah, too bad he lied about
I feel
watching the
bad.
battle
I'm like,
reports.
geez, like I swear to God, I watch it. Like I'm just feel bad. Oh man, okay. You know what? All right. Let's see.
So this, by the way, this is how Evan functions, everyone. He's now made Evan feel bad. Evan will go back and watch every single battle report, even if it kills him.
Even
my job
if
here is
I
done.
Die. It's like, you have some playlists? All right, we'll fire those up. I got a lot of sound editing to do tomorrow. You're in, bud. You got at least one more view on everything again.
When I went to Warfare Week, and I was amazed, like none of the top players watch my stuff. And I understand that, but like LJ Pena came over and was on one of my episodes. And he's like, yeah, I've never seen any of your stuff. So
It's
you're in
just
good
crazy,
company.
right?
You know what though? You know what I love about this community with that though? No one has seen your stuff, but they knew who you are and they'll promote you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like everybody that, and if you're new to the community and you stumbled upon our podcast, like that's the greatest thing I would say about our community, that everyone is so supportive of each other. Like it's just like, oh hey, you oh you I've never listened to Fifth Trooper, but I know 5 guys who really love him. You should check him out. And it's just, and the same thing. And I'm sure all those guys, like I know LJ has promoted your channel, and so
Absolutely.
it's that's just how this community works, and I love this community for that.
Sweet. You guys ready to play some
I'm
Yeah.
in.
So
Yeah.
I heard
trash?
yeah. So yeah, I heard you got a special edition of our game for us.
Yeah, so Jay, I got my channel now, and I'm on
Yep.
a podcast, and
Yep.
I aspire to be the Legion media empire that the Fifth
Hmm.
Trooper is, right? So I need some
Okay.
insight from you. So it's going to be a special edition of Buy Try Trash where you and Evan are on the hot seat,
Okay.
and you
Perfect.
guys can collaborate for these answers.
Yep.
But I really want to know where you guys would go with this stuff. So
All
some of
right,
these are
hit
going to be a
us.
little sensitive. I'm going to warn you in advance. Okay.
That's fair. Every time
I
I talk
don't.
to Jay, I get sensitive. It's okay.
Yeah, every day.
What do you mean?
It's going to start out easy, and then we're going to get progressively harder.
Perfect.
All right. So you're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar Star Wars Legion media empire, and
Nothing
you're
new
looking,
here.
you're looking to make an acquisition to your YouTube channel for battle
Okay.
reports.
All right.
You have the choice for Buy Try Trash
Yep.
of Krabak, who I know that you are on Recover the Supplies with,
Yep.
MOTF with Luke and the gang down in Australia,
Yep.
or War Corgi, my channel. So you get one that will permanently join your network.
Yep.
One will do a one-off episode for you guys, and one is just going into the trash bin.
I already have my answer, but Evan, I'd like to hear your
Oh
thoughts on
God.
this.
Okay. All right. All right. I'll wrap some stuff. By War Corgi.
Mhm.
Team Evan. We're on it. Also, like legit, I do watch it. I swear to God. Even though you keep quizzing me on it, and I keep failing
Nope.
terribly.
Wrong.
Wrong. I'm going
In
to
episode 17, Evan, in turn 5, the second
Oh, God.
activation was a rebel unit. Can you name that rebel unit?
I got it up
Chewy.
right here. Give me 2 hours. Oh God. I'm going to try MOTF Luke. Because he's got some good stuff. I would put him maybe more toward the buy, but we're hoping one day to take a trip down to Australia or somewhere like that when they do a big regional and stream. So try, and I'm only gonna put Krabak and Trash, just because I really liked his Armada stuff. That's when I knew him as.
Mm.
And I haven't, not that I don't like his Legion stuff, but he really grew on me for Armada. So I haven't associated him with Legion in my mind as much as I should. Especially now he's even doing the pen and paper thing with Jay. He's like a take all comers kind of channel, which is really cool. But I
Yeah.
think that's my layout.
Interesting. So let's see. This is tough. All right, I'll explain let me go through my mental process here so the listeners at home know where I'm at. So I love Krabak. He's part of Recover the Supplies with us. He's great, but man, is he a loose cannon. Like you never know where he's gonna go with something, and he's like his new podcast. What is it? Double Critical. He just basically, he was telling me the other night that he just wants to take it in these places where he just gets like theoretical about units, and like even if it's insane, he wants to talk about the potential of it being in Legion. So like that, he's just too much of a loose cannon for me. So I'd probably put him in the trash as well with Evan. So definitely Krabak, we love you, but not for this, my friend.
Not for this brand.
Yeah. Gosh. So I think I'm with Evan. So I think we would try MOTF Luke because I think he could only do one episode without swearing. And I think that's all we could get out of him. And then the next episode it would be laden with F-bombs and blowing up his whole board. So we'll try him for one episode, and we're proud to bring War Corgi onto the channel.
Guys, you're too great. Checks in the mail.
Perfect. All right.
So if you gave me two, I really wanted to trash you just so people didn't think I was biased because you were on the show. But with the other two, I couldn't find a way to do it. So
Well, it's where logic takes you. You got to go.
yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to the next round of buy, try, trash. Buy, try, trash.
Trash. Buy, try, trash.
Podcast, gentlemen. You guys need to acquire another podcast because, let's face it, Notorious Scoundrels, hyper-focused on the competitive play.
Yep.
And you guys hyper-focused on some sort of pirate game lately. So we're going to expand the Fifth Trooper Network's podcast, and here are your three options. The venerable Legion Outriders, who have just reorganized and are doing some great stuff. They're out of Nevada. Stabcast, and of course, Ryan, one of your partners for Recover the Supplies on that one. Tim's awake sometimes. And then lastly, We Are Legion, which I'm not convinced you've listened to, but hopefully you have. It's the one out of Australia with MO2AF Luke.
I haven't listened to any of them. Let me see.
Wow. Okay.
It's Evan.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Evan.
I'm gonna put Legion Outriders as my buy. They're the ones who I started listening to originally when I was just searching for like any Legion content at all. And I really I always wanted to meet them. And I was really hoping one of these days I could get hit a LVO or something that they got to go to. I'm gonna put the We Are Legion as my try. I like podcasts that are from different parts of the world. I used to listen to an X-Wing one that was called Hit Hit Crit out of South Africa. Really interesting, the fact that they only got limited product from FFG, so their meta was wildly different than everywhere else in the world because they just didn't have as much. And hearing what they had to work with was always cool, so I like that. And then I honestly, so way back when Stabcast was doing more like battle reports over the podcast, I used to get a little tired. It'd kind of make me drowsy, so I stopped listening. That was a year ago. But I got to give him another shot. So it's not fair. Not fair. So I'll give him another shot.
No, Stabcast is in my trash pile. Those guys are the worst. Trash. They are nothing but trash.
Oh,
God. And they know it.
Oh, God.
We have a feud going on with Stabcast. They go in the trash.
They do be talking trash about you.
Yeah. They're the worst. And so screw those guys. And I would say buy Luke's new podcast because we need an international reach. And I would say try Outriders for an episode and let them go back to doing what they do best.
I like it. I like both your answers. All right. This is where it's going to get political, gentlemen. So feel free to edit this out. Now, Fifth Trooper, besides being an awesome podcast, really built their reputation by live streaming huge events, right? You guys do it better than anybody else, and you always have. Right. You've had some interesting guests on. Now you have a chance to hire one, try one, and throw one in the trash. Okay. Here are your potentials. Alex Davey, creator of Legion. Okay. Luke Betty, co-developer of Legion. And Matt Holland, OP extraordinaire.
Oh, let me go first, Evan.
All right.
Trash Davey, because that dude wears so many mustard shirts. Do you know how bad that is for live streaming? Screw that guy out. Matt will try, and we'll put Luke on permanent.
Okay.
I'll Davey for permanent. I can feel him missing from X-Wing, if that makes sense. Like I can feel Legion surging with his steady hand. I guess, how I like the game and how thematic it is. And not that X-Wing 2.0 is bad right now, but since I've noticed since he's not actively working on it, it just doesn't feel the same. And so I pretty much would follow whatever game that guy put out. I'd be in. Like, I just really like his design philosophy on how he makes games. So and also he's a really good personality to have talk about his game. It's rare that you have a guy who can design a game and also be a face for it. Like, look at like No Man's Sky, right? Like, lead designer made a great game now. Worst guy in the world to have talk about the game, right?
Yep.
Like, just
Mhm.
the wrong man completely. So that I'm gonna put Holland on try. He's a good face. Like, in wrestling terms, he's a good face. Uh, uh, he responds to the community pretty regularly, and for some of the virile, like acid people throw at him when a Naboo starfighter doesn't come out on time, or whatever, like he takes it all pretty. I mean, from what we see as the people on the outside, he takes it all very well and has some good answers. And he tries, man. Like, he's always fun to talk to at bigger events I go to. And Eddie, like the dude a lot, but I have more experience with the other two. So sorry, bud, you're in the trash can with me.
Not me. Luke,
Not,
I love
not
you. You're permanent with me. Alex goes in the trash. Him and his mustard wardrobe. Out! Out!
So if the question was, instead of live streams, like which one of these guys I would have over to play a game on the channel as a
Yeah.
buy, try, trash, I can tell you Alex Davey would go in the trash because he
Mm.
looks too damn good. I don't want to be compared to that guy visually.
He wears a mean cardigan, man. That's just like
Ugh,
Jay
he's
wears.
the
I think
worst.
Jay's mad because Jay wears cardigans, and Alex wears them better. And there's a weird
I
jealousy going
invented
on.
cardigans.
Yep. Here we go. Here we go.
Him and his.
All right. So I thought that was going to be tougher than it was for you guys.
No.
So
Yeah,
now
no.
we're going to amp it up a notch.
All
now.
right. Well,
So
let's hear it.
buy, try, trash.
Yep.
And I'm going to caveat this one by saying, let's say I was looking to acquire a third person for my Jedi Hunter podcast, right? We're just getting off the ground. We're 15 episodes in. Maybe we need some new expertise. If you were advising me, Jay, and I was going to poach one of these three,
Yeah.
who would I buy, who would I try, and who would I trash? Endless, Dashes, Orchimedes.
Is there an option to trash all three?
Not how this game works, sir.
Oh, all right. Let's.
Not the answer I was expecting, but sure.
All right. Let's see. This is how I would do it. I got this. This is perfect.
Okay.
So I would have you guys buy David, and what I would do is have you let him be your announcer, because he's got that smooth, silky voice that makes all the girls weak. And so you could, you make him your announcer slash, whatever, lead man that kind of like intros everything and gets you guys moving. He'd be perfect for that. I'd have you try Kyle, have him come on once, give you all the numbers, because I mean you can only deal with that once, and so you just have him come on with all the numbers, tell you all the mathematics behind what you're doing is wrong, and then you don't have to listen to it again. And then just because I have to pick one, Dash has to go bye-bye, and he's got to go to the trash.
Evan, are you in agreement?
Yes, I might switch. You know what? Actually, no. I'm gonna say Kyle's your buy. If I'm playing Moneyball here, Kyle is your man. He's a lot of fun to talk to. Has a good personality for it, and his the fact that he can just whittle out numbers. And anytime I put a list in our chat, he politely keeps me in line. I'm like, yeah, you know what? 3 full groups of scout troopers with bombs sound good. He's like, Evan, stop, please. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, Kyle.
I could use a guy like that on the payroll if you've seen my list.
See, this is why I didn't want him to buy him, Evan. We need Kyle.
And then I would say try David. I agree with everything Jay said. Great voice, great announcer. But Kyle just outranks him. And Dash, Dash is excellent, but out of Kyle, man. Sorry, dog. You're back. You're back out down here in the dumpster with me.
I love all three of them. So that completes today's game of buy, try, trash. Thank you, gentlemen, for playing. I
man.
think we got some insight on how to build our own Legion.
Yeah.
community.
I thought that was going to
Content
be way
creator.
harder.
Really, man.
Well, maybe it's just because I'm heartless and don't care. Actually, let's just trash everyone. No.
If I was going to make it a lot easier for the podcast, I was going to add in Critical X, but we all know where they would go.
Yeah, for sure in the trash. Yeah. But cool, man. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for
Yeah, man,
thinking
thanks for
about
coming
that.
on.
And coming on. This was amazing.
It's always a pleasure, guys, and hopefully we're around for another 25 episodes of Legion Battle Reports, and I'll come back at the 50th episode.
Heck yeah, that'd be great.
Maybe even before then.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys again next week.
Everyone, stay red.
Join
Bye-bye.
us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper podcast.
This has been a Fifth Trooper production.